Okay, going to the show notes, we have Kasumi. Oh, this will be interesting. You wrote, when you are a young girl, I assume you mean like when you're a woman.
When I was a young girl, did I wrote that?
Okay, I'll finish the sentence.
Yeah.
When you're a young girl, avoid dating men who are a lot older than you.
Okay.
So you're saying like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're talking about like adult age gap relationships. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
so like
correct.
a 19 or 20-year-old dating a guy who's in his 30s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that?
At first I was kind of okay with it. I thought it would be fine, but after experiencing myself first and also hearing stories of other women, I do notice a consistent thing with men who are older. I think they sometimes date younger girls out of insecurity.
The older men are insecure.
Yes.
How so?
Yes, because at first I also didn't agree with this statement. Like, it's just because they can't handle a woman their age and they have too much baggage and those kind of things. I think as adults you can work through these things, and I also think a grown man. What do you have in common with a very younger girl? And it's always about the man trying to control her, shape her in a way that he wants her to be, mold her in a way that is easy for him to deal with. And I don't think it's as common as we think, big age gap relationships. It's probably a handful of relationships are like that. And yeah, I think there would be a dynamic that the man would be more controlling over the relationship. And usually it doesn't end up well, I think.
Okay, so there's a lot there. You said commonalities. You said that the man would be more... You think there's a tendency for older men to be more controlling when they're dating younger women?
Yes.
Okay, so how would that manifest itself? Like controlling how?
Making decisions for her, telling her what she can and cannot do. And because she is younger, she probably feels like below him and more unexperienced in life, and probably... Yeah, I think it will end up making her not happy. She's not able to experience her life the way she should have.
Okay. When it comes to the control component, don't you think, weren't you making an advocacy for men being leaders?
I do, to a certain extent.
Like, didn't you say men should be more like masculine, step up, etc.?
Exactly.
So couldn't you have like a dynamic with a woman exactly your age or even older where that level of, I don't know if you would categorize it as control, I would categorize it as leadership, that would exist in a same age relationship too?
Could you rephrase that in a different way?
Well, okay, you're saying that the man is more likely to be in, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying the man's more likely to be in control of a relationship where the woman is younger.
Yes.
But isn't that exactly the type of relationship dynamics that you're in favor of?
Not completely.
Okay, so what components of that would you object to?
I think from my experience, I worked for about a year. I stood in front of a class and I had people from ages 19 until 25. I think I experienced hundreds and hundreds of people in 1 week. And usually girls around, maybe 19, 20, usually, not all of them, of course, but they seem...
Why do you refer to them as girls?
Because they're young, 19-year-old girls.
But it would not be incorrect to refer to them as women, right?
No, they're women too. They menstruated, I guess.
Well, but you said 19 and 20. I mean, these are adult. They're legally adult women.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
But I think somebody even mentioned that at 25 your frontal lobe develops. I don't know. A 19-year-old girl is different from a 28-year-old girl.
Are you trying to say that a 19-year-old girl is more naive?
Yes, absolutely.
Wouldn't you argue though that if you're going to bring in the brain development argument, wouldn't you say or argue that making these decisions, getting into these relationships, sometimes it's all about responsibility. Like responsibility and wisdom doesn't equate to brain development. Wouldn't you argue? Like you don't change from being a simpleton, to put it like a simpleton at 24 to having your brain fully developed at 25 the next day. You know what I mean? You don't.
That's true.
You know what I mean? You don't.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. Yeah, the years of experience develop.
Couldn't you argue that somebody at 19 could go through something, could have, it's not common, but, you know, have around the same awareness and sense of responsibility and understanding as somebody at 25 with their fully
Absolutely, I
developed
agree.
brain?
I don't think it's just the majority of young girls that have this type of understanding of the world, how relationships work, how men are, and social dynamics. I don't think the majority of girls around 18, 19, 20 have a good sense of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a
can see it.
question. Do you think that a majority of older men are just controlling in general?
No, I don't think so.
So then do you say that your statement is just a generalization of all older men in a relationship with a younger female?
Yeah, in general, I would think so. Yes.
Okay, so then you are saying that majority of older men are controlling in a relationship.
When an older man is specifically looking for a 10 to 15-year-old younger girl, there is more behind it than just love, I think. So in a sense, the same way a lot of men talk about women when they're older, they're like, they have too much baggage, they hit a certain age and they can't attract a good relationship anymore. The same is with men. At some point when they're past 28, they're not in a relationship yet, they're probably failing at something in life, I think, and they look for a younger girl they're able to control more and to have a type of relationship dynamic that he wouldn't be able to have with an older woman.
Do you think that's the case for all age gap relationships?
No.
Okay, so some. What percentage?
Good question as well. I don't know.
You don't know. Do you think
This
do you
is-
think the majority of men who want to date a younger woman, the reason for them wanting to do that is because of this control component that you were referencing?
It's a part of it, but it's also a part because, of course, youth is attractive, and also to older men still. But I find it, odd if an older man, let's say he's 40 and he's only looking to date 20-year-olds. There's something wrong with him, I think.
What? Oh, go ahead, Warren.
Leonardo DiCaprio, for example. Would
There's
that
something
apply?
wrong with him too for doing that. Yeah, it
Did you
shows him
have
he
more
cannot
on
have a
that?
stable relationship with somebody too.
I think you touched on it where I think it's mostly aesthetic, more so than it could be a component in some cases of control, but I think it's always going to be an aspect of that fabric of reality I keep referring to, that biologically, because youth indicator, reproduction. I have this whole theory, we don't need to get into unless you're interested in it, about why we are attracted to beauty, certain facial features. And it's seeing traits that, if I reproduce with this person, my offspring will have the highest likelihood of having those traits, thus carrying on my genetic code. And that happens in a split second, and this is one way that is acted out.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Yes. But I also think that just when you think of it, a 40-year-old man and a 20-year-old woman, what would they have in common that much,
I could answer that.
relationship-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of questions on that. So first, though, just clarifying question. What is a way in which I would have a commonality with a woman that's my age, that on the basis of the commonality alone would be enough to push me over the edge to wanting to date her?
I think certain values in the time that you guys grew up.
Values. Well, I think, hold on. So when you're talking about commonality, are you talking about like shared like cultural, like music or movies? Or are you talking about...
For example, that's probably not the most important part, but that's a part of it.
Okay. I guess my confusion though, aren't there people, is it logically possible that there's like a 60-year-old and a 20-year-old who have more in common than does a 60-year-old and another 60-year-old? Is
That
it
is
logically
a
possible?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
There could be a possibility for that, but that's not the majority of the cases.
It could be the case, but you would agree that there are people your own age who you would be completely incompatible with as it relates to commonality?
Could you say that again? Sorry, my English.
Well, so for example, I'm 36.
Yeah.
There are 36-year-old women that I have nothing in common with.
Yeah.
So, but you bring that up though as an argument for like why I shouldn't date them, right? So,
True,
or
true.
why men shouldn't date younger women because there's a lack of commonality.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
sure if
what-
like men or even women shared values, but I think values are much more easy to come by than like having like shared cultural touchstones, like, oh, you like the same band, you like the same movie. Also, if a girl really likes you, you can show her that shit and she'll start to like it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but I mean, I think for both men and women, I don't think commonality is really high on the totem pole in terms of what people care about. Like, if you're a Christian, then yeah, you'd want to date another Christian, but and also, what really, I guess I would ask, what do men and women have in common, really?
What do women and men have in
Like,
common?
what do we have in common?
Oh, I think biologically speaking, we both want to reproduce, have children. And want someone, we don't want to be alone. Like,
Okay.
probably that's, everybody here wants love and don't want to be alone. So we have that all in common. So we're looking for a partner to close that gap for ourselves. So we have that at the base in common. And after that, of course, we want safety, food. We have these basic desires that are all the same, that are all in common. So we understand each other on that level.
Well, let me ask you this. What would I have in common with a 35-year-old that I can't have in common with a 25-year-old?
Like experience, life experience. Like, I
Well, when
wanted
you
to
say
make
life
this
experience, I just
example.
think more dicks.
Of
Like
course
she's
you think
fucks more
that.
guys. That's all I can.
Okay.
But what do you mean life experience? Like
I'm
what does
like
that
I
mean?
wanted to make a point because I
Yeah,
was
yeah, go ahead.
I did this job that I was a teacher and I met like hundreds of 20-year-old girls and I'm standing in front of the class and majority, not all of them, but they're sitting on their phones, unmotivated, uninterested. When you have a conversation with them, they're staring at their screen and stuff. They're so like not much. There is not much going on inside their heads. So I'm sometimes thinking, and I'm saying that's not all of a 19-year-old woman, but what does a 40-year-old man with all this life experience, is he only going for her looks?
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah. And what is a
Looks.
relationship based off of?
I
What
mean,
kind of relationship is that?
well, I would say that perhaps there's some scenario where it's looks, and he's just thinking like, okay, she's 20 or whatever, and she has the most childbearing years ahead of her. That might be it. That might be all that he's thinking about.
Yeah, I would think that's kind of empty. Like you need to share the rest of your life with her, basically.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't like marry a twat, like somebody who's just a piece of shit or annoying.
But like maybe that's part of the reason why he wants to be with her is to like share his experiences with her and like help her grow as a person. Have you ever like thought of that as an example as to why older men would want to be involved with younger
So,
females?
I would see that more as like being a father figure, in a sense.
But you couldn't date someone who is older and still learn those life experiences?
I'm sure there are ways that it could be like that, but I also see it in a way that that person knows everything a lot better than you, and he will make the choices for you. And you cannot experience making errors in your life and create that own life experience for yourself.
But wouldn't that be kind of a nice way to live? You don't have to learn from all of your mistakes and someone can kind of help you just get on the right path in life?
Yeah, that's the one. Is he really teaching you the right path in life? And
Maybe.
second, maybe, yeah, that's true. But I think we're like taking away a lot of like responsibility from the woman, from herself in that way.
But also isn't a man's job to like guide their partner and be like someone to take care of their partner? So I guess I don't understand the issue of the age gap situation in that sense either. A man's supposed to be a provider and a protector,
But does
So
that
just
mean-
because he's 20 years older than her, how is that an issue?
Yeah, I think for the reason I explained on beforehand, as a 20-year-old woman, you have like many years in front of you, and if somebody is telling you how to live your life from that point, I think that could be an issue for you.
Would you be okay with a 20-year-old dating like a really masculine and dominant 21-year-old, and he's like telling her how to live her life? Because
Like, why would a
he has it.
man need to be telling someone to live?
Okay, so it's not
Yes.
related to age then. You just have an issue with like men being leaders in relationships.
Usually, it falls in the gap of when the man is older, he will feel more assertive in telling her what to do.
I dated somebody a year younger than me, and it was the most controlling relationship I've ever been in. I feel like it depends on the person, too. I feel like controlling
Exactly.
people are going to be controlling people no matter their age. But I understand how you can see, like, because they're older, it looks that
Wait.
way, but...
That's a good point. I do have an interesting thought process there. If the goal is to avoid controlling situations in relationships, what if I were to propose that there's a tendency for the woman to be more controlling as she gets older, ergo, men should date younger women so the older women don't control them?
Personally, no.
Yeah, because there's also a tendency that women can be very controlling in relationships as well, I guess. But is it?
Okay.
No, but that's true. Like it's. I'm
But,
not,
but he's pointing out that age doesn't really play a factor. If you're going to be a controlling person, you're going to
Well-
be controlling.
Do you think the
person.
age gaps are like it's gross?
No.
Is it icky? Does it give you the ick?
No, it doesn't
okay.
give me
You
the
just
ick.
you're curious about the motivations. It sounds
the
like.
motivations, indeed. Like, why isn't that man able to date someone around his age? And usually it falls
Okay.
into maybe she is not attractive enough for him or something. But
Makes
it
sense.
just interests me a lot. Why
But
isn't he able to find somebody around his age?
If I'm dating a girl who's my exact same age and we have nothing in common, should I break up with her?
If you don't love her and
No, she's really attractive.
Yeah.
And I love her, but you know what? She likes rap music.
no, you shouldn't
And I
break up
don't.
with her.
Huh?
No, you shouldn't break up with her.
I shouldn't break up with her.
No,
Okay.
if that's not a deal breaker for you, you don't break up with her.
But like I don't do my nails and she does her nails.
Yeah,
We
those
have
are-
nothing in common.
But would you want to be with someone like that if we have
Like
nothing
what?
in common? But you like her and she's attractive?
It depends what are the things, like I'm not a big drinker. I'd prefer to date, if she was a partier and a drinker, regardless of her age, if she was 21 and she drank a lot, she was 30, 40 and she drank a lot, wouldn't want to date her either. So,
I have a question. So let's reverse the roles. So I'm in a relationship, and my significant other is the younger person in the relationship.
go.
But so I guess my question is, so I'm not a controlling person. He's younger than me, and he's more, not in a bad way, but more controlling and takes the lead in our relationship.
But you're now putting control and leadership in the same thing.
But I brought that to you earlier with the man being the older and the female being the younger and being a leader and guiding them. I mean, my significant other, like I said, I still learn things from him, and he's younger than I am and hasn't had near as much life experience, I guess, if you want to say, as myself. So why does it matter if it's a man or a woman who's older?
Because those are usually the stories that you will hear. There's more a tendency of older men and younger women that have these types of dynamics. And I'm dating a way younger guy. Like, I'm the older one. I'm 32,
Oh, how old is he?
24.
Oh, what the fuck? Hey,
So
you know
turns
what?
the table.
You are a predator and you're controlling
Yeah.
and you are taking advantage of his undeveloped brain.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
you're a fucking sicko.
But I'm not just saying, not just.
This girl 32 dating a 24-year-old man? Oh, no, sorry. A boy? You're dating a 24-year-old boy?
Yes.
That's
Now he's a man.
disgusting.
Really? But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not
So then
saying
I guess
What do you have in common with him,
I
huh?
was just getting ready
Or
to
is he
ask the
just
same
hot?
thing.
No, he's super hot. Yes.
Oh, whoa, really hot young guy.
And we have a lot of
What do you-
we talk about. I learn a lot
talk?
from him. He learns a lot from me as well.
So
She's-
again,
she's
so
not-
why?
But I'm not saying it's every single relationship that is like that.
Okay.
But I just
But
it's
you were
like
asking
kind of a
general.
warning sign for younger girls because usually it's also the more damaged one that go for older men in relationships. they're
Oh, the
missing
women are
something.
damaged.
Yeah.
The women are damaged.
There are damaged women.
But I thought you were saying that there's a problem with the man to be pursuing younger women.
There
As a generalized.
There is. Because I'm just thinking about what is going on in his mind. I'm just thinking about what could be going on in his mind if he's actively pursuing girls that are way younger than him.
Okay, so what's actively
Yeah,
going on in your mind
what's going on?
dating someone who's 24?
I didn't actively pursue
this
him.
boy.
Okay, so
Why
then
do-
I'm
maybe
not actively looking for younger boys to date.
okay, but maybe some of these older men are actively looking for younger women to
No,
date.
I'm sure there are situations that just work and they're fine and that's okay. But there is like
Why do men's motivations?
So again, we're
get
back to like what percentage,
questioned?
I guess. So what percentage of like age gap relationships, I guess, do you think are controlling and are like toxic?
in my own experience, I've seen them in my own experience.
But what's the percentage?
I don't know the percentage. I don't
Just a
see
guesstimate?
studies on it or anything.
Just a guesstimate though from your personal experience.
Like, I would
Less than
say-
1%, 5%, 10%.
I would say like 30 or 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, can I ask you a question? So, can you explain to me like what's the benefit to the man to pick a 31-year-old over a 21-year-old? Like, what's the actual benefit?
Well, I think a more mature woman. You have somebody that can, has more life experience, knows to deal with certain situations better than a 20-year-old.
Most men aren't attracted to a more mature woman though. That's the thing. Like, it matches up in age gap relationships like that because a lot of time women are attracted to a guy who has more experience, more life experience, even like maybe negative experiences. It doesn't damage a man as much as it can damage a woman in terms of how she conducts herself in the relationship. So that's why it can match up like that. Like a woman may be more attracted to an older guy. An older guy is more attracted to a younger woman because she has more reproductive years, like Brian said, and like just because of attraction. And as long as you have your basic values lined up, like no drinking, for example, or like if you want to have children in the future, that's the thing that should matter the most. Not like small things like he didn't listen to the same type of music when he was younger as I am right now. Like it's not about that because those things don't really matter in a relationship.
I agree with
It can
the
matter in
statement
like
you made.
friendships. Like you can sit with your friend in a car and listen to music, but like with your husband, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't matter as much because there's so many other things that matter so much more.
There are much more things that matter more than the same music. I agree with that.
Like commonalities. I'm not just talking music. Like commonalities that have to do with age. You can have like basic things in common that matter more, and you have an age gap relationship. It doesn't necessarily mean that one person is like trying to manipulate the other person.
No, I'm also I'm like maybe it's my English or something, but I agree completely with
Say
what
it
you
in
said
Dutch.
here.
Maybe we'll understand it better.
It's like two people understanding.
But, well, I mean, I guess
I agree with exactly everything you said. I agree with that. That's the baseline of it. For specifically only younger girls, like I'm just trying to understand what is going on in their mind and why they're not able to date somebody of their own age. When we go to certain other cultures, I don't know if I can say this, but in Muslim cultures, they sometimes date or they marry, like 25-year-old men marry 9-year-old girls. Why?
Well, hold on. Just to be clear,
that's messed up.
we're talking about adult relationships, right? We're talking about adult relationships.
Okay.
Right. So this would mean they're adults.
Both consenting.
So you're talking about, that's wrong.
Yeah,
You're talking about 9-year-olds? Yeah, I don't think anybody at this table is defending that.
Agree? But okay, this what
Talking about Islam?
yeah.
Oh, okay, like it. I'm not gonna get
Anyways.
into that convo, but
Yeah, so I'm just, maybe it's just me trying to understand what is going on there. And most people are just it's fine, it should be fine. I don't think we should just look at it like that. I was actually on that camp first years ago, but now I'm trying to see it like from a different perspective. And I just want to know what is going on in a man's head when they choose to go for a much younger girl, why they're not able to date somebody their own age.
wait, are you
That's-
saying
that group
are you saying
specifically?
so is there a component here where it's like the men can't get women their own age. So they have to go after these like naive younger women.
Yeah, I'm talking about a specific group of men that after a certain age, that they're not in a relationship and they're only hooking up and dating with younger girls.
After what age?
28, 30.
So you're 32.
I'm talking about
You're
men
currently
right
dating
now.
a 24-year-old, which, by the way, I don't actually have any objections to, but
In general, I want to really make this clear. I, in general, don't have an objection for older man dating a younger girl. But there's a certain group of men that I do think they are in somewhat way insecure. And they are looking specifically for younger girls to date because that sense of control, they probably enjoy that. And there's I think a border between leadership and control.
okay. Well, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with you that like perhaps for some men who date younger women, they do so for like bad reasons or whatever. You know, they're insecure or they are immature, and like the older women can suss that out. But I think to paint with a broad brush and just say men in general, like I would say it's a very small minority of men who find younger women attractive are like fall within that. But I'm willing to grant that, yeah, there probably are some men who are insecure and are, you know, immature or whatever. But I don't know if it's worth exploring like a minority
Okay.
of men there. You had something more? Or?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at samples in Hollywood, we see that a lot because I think they have to be either have a lot of resources to be able to attract a 22-year-old when you're 40 or above. I can tell you from a man's perspective why DiCaprio is probably doing that. He's like, why would I be with a 40-year-old woman when I could be with this? It's just aesthetically attraction. I get your point. I think it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple the reason why they do it.
My dad married someone 20 years younger than him. So, and I'm pretty sure that was, I'm sure, just an attraction thing. She had already had kids too.
It's the stereotype,
so it's
right?
just not
Like,
even about, yeah.
leave for their secretary. It's Mad Men. We saw it.
I mean,
Happens a
my
lot.
grandfather married my grandmother, and there was like an 18-year age gap. He was 18 years older, but I think that was an arranged marriage. So like that's just like a totally different kind of situation.
We have some chats coming through. We have one moment. Lucas, hey Lucas, thank you, man. Again, with this feminist age gap prattle, age gaps are morally neutral. My parents were 15 years. The reasons are simple. Men pursue youth beauty because of fertility and good genes. Women pursue older men because of the accumulation of wealth, stability, ability to protect. Stop with the control BS talking points. Stop trying to impose your preferences onto men. Your opinion is relevant to us. Thank you for that, Lucas. Appreciate your message. Yeah, I mean, I think it just find attractive. And I think just biologically, evolutionarily, men are attracted to like women probably between the age of like 20, 25. That's probably like the peak in terms of what men will deem attractive. It just comes down to, as Warren said, like an aesthetic, and there's the biological basis of just like that's when women are the most fertile. So there's a biological basis for that. Desert Joe says, Chair 2 keeps insinuating men aren't able to date their own age. This is completely false. Men generally have a biological preference for women who are in their peak fertility age range, not control. I also, on this one, I think, Desert Joe, is that I was thinking about this, and I actually think that men, say like men who are in their 30s, early, mid-30s, whatever, who are able to date younger women, like say between 20 to 24 or something, I think they actually, those men in that age range are more able to date women in their age range. They just opt and choose not to. Because I think as a guy in your 30s, in order to be able to attract a 20-year-old, I think you have to be pretty damn attractive in whatever the ways that women find men attractive are. And this would then, that level of attractiveness that the 20-year-olds find attractive so too should it be the case that the 30 or 40, the older women would also find those men attractive too. So it's actually the case that I think, like, for example, a man who can't attract younger women, I think that guy is less likely to be able to attract women of his own age also. So I don't know, this idea that like, oh, they can't get women their own age, so they have to go date like really hot, attractive 20-year-olds. It doesn't really track for me that it's like...
But 30 and 25 is not a big age gap, right? That's like a small age gap.
Oh, well, I mean, I would just give you like 33 dating a 21-year-old. That's pretty big age gap. But I mean, I think in order to date, to be able to get a 21-year-old when you're in your 30s, you have to be pretty darn attractive in order to get her. If you're in the 30s and you can't get younger women, I'd argue that you're like probably less attractive to women in your age group. So it's not that they can't get the older women, these older men. It's not that they can't get them. They can get them, but they're opting to go with the better option, which happens to be younger women.
And that just means, actually, when you say better, it's just more attractive, basically.
I mean...
Because the other things don't matter, actually.
I won't sugarcoat it, but sure,
It is,
yeah. More, well...
Yeah, more youthful,
wouldn't it be this,
beautiful.
Yeah, so better?
Yeah, that basically is what it comes down to.
I'm not making like a claim on their value as a human being.
No, that's
but like as a potential partner, yeah, they're better, more attractive. So if better equals more attractive, then yes. We have Grid 1. Hey, good to see you, man. Hey.
Grid 1 Motorsports donated $200.01.
Thank you, dude.
I was 34 and my wife 23 when we started dating. Married 20 years now. I specifically dated younger women. You are delusional if you think men are not going to date the best option available to them.
As well. Somebody sent me a list here, and I'm going to read them. So, younger women, more physically attractive, more emotionally available, more romantic, more energy and optimistic about the future, more time to live life and travel the world before starting a family, more fertile, less baggage and trauma, more open to new ideas, less stuck in their ways, stuck in a job city, more agreeable, easier to build a life with, more grateful and easily satisfied. Most good men want to satisfy their woman. Nothing is more awful than a woman who's never satisfied. Less likelihood of having children or a psycho ex. Younger parents who could be involved in raising the children. More on equal footing. Okay, whatever. That's something else. Okay, somebody sent that into me. I don't know. Whatever.
I like that he said a good man. Like a good man, okay, but you have also not such good men trying to take the lead in a relationship and ends nowhere.